Well, good evening, all. Ira Epstein with your financial market wrap-up, and this wrap-up is for the evening, as we're here now on the 1st of July, first day of a quarter, 2024, time 6 p.m. Central Time. So we saw the Supreme Court ended session. The verdict came in on the Trump case, and pretty much what most of the scholars thought it would be, but a little bit of a twist in favor of the president. Number one, if it's an official act by a sitting president, there is immunity. Now, there's certain parts to the immunity that have to be discussed. You have to discuss what did he do as an official act versus what did he do as a private citizen in some ways. This is going to go back to the court. But it is, make no exception about it in your mind. It is a win for the president. It buys him more time, number two. Number one, certain of his acts are going to be covered. All right. Did he instill a riot? Did he call for a riot? That's going to be a question. His call to Mike Pence has already been determined by the court. That is an official act. His asking the court to do certain things, that is an official act. So there's a big road to hoe for Jack Smith, the special prosecutor, to go after everything else. Will he be able to get some things? Probably. But make no bone about it. This means that the president is now, as I see it at least, going to be able to hit the campaign trail, won't be in court during the election, will be able to raise more funds, and after the terrible performance by President Biden, probably garner a certain amount of people to what he's doing. I mean, the reality is, at 3 in the morning, is Joe Biden capable of picking up the phone and being coherent after the debate? After the debate. That is what we're all asking ourselves. I am not saying he wouldn't or he would, but you have to look at it, the debate. I watched it from beginning to end, and I know what I walked away with. And obviously, I'm not the only one, because it's in the press every day as to what he can do, how he can get around this. If I were Trump, I would not hold a second debate. I've made mention of that to you. Before we get into the news, other news coming up, I want to remind you, my 4th of July sale began today. So now you can get 35% off any of my courses. And remember, you start them when you want to start them. You just let us know after you purchase it. Or any of my 1-year research purchases. So let's assume that the research is $150, it'll be $100. Let's assume a course is $100, just making this up, be $65 for you. Take advantage, because these are good financial deals and these are exciting markets again. Yeah, I know you'll say, well, it's a bit of summer's doldrums. Is it? I'm going to ask you, is it? It's pretty exciting. And with elections coming, with central bank actions taking place, I'm not convinced it is. Grain markets going bonkers to the downside for a moment. But you know, what goes down has a way of turning around and bouncing on you. So be careful there. In terms of the news, all right, besides the event from the court, and there were 2 other decisions on social media and then on fees for credit cards. And I'll let you read about those as to where they're at, because I think they're more things in our everyday life than they are in the futures markets. But certainly the presidential result does affect us all in the markets, and the markets didn't know what to do with it, by the way. When that came out, if you watch, bonds and notes cratered because they're saying, Trump's back in, tariffs, higher interest rates are here to stay for a while. Who's he bringing back in office with him? Who's he going after if he gets in? All right, but this keeps him in the race. Redbook Group will update their U.S. retail sales data Tuesday. Now we're going to get one part of the big numbers. It's a big week for jobs, because you're going to get this week what? You're going to get at the end of the week the big number on the U.S. jobs report, and the JOLTS report moves markets. Now, they had been at just over 8 million jobs being offered. I'm assuming that shrunk a bit because we're seeing different things in industry right now where the hiring's a little bit different. The jobless claims have been climbing a little bit through here. Yet the economy's still humming along pretty good. So I would view a number over this as a surprise to the market, and I think most traders are looking for it to get under 8 million. We'll see if I'm right. API tomorrow afternoon is going to come out with their release. We will get Wednesday with the EIA in the morning. And tomorrow, we have Fed Chairman Powell joining European Central Bank President Lagarde in Sintra, Portugal, on a forum where they'll all be asked and answer questions about interest rates, bank policies, and the like. It could be a market mover. You're going to want to pay attention because Europe has moved to the point of cutting rates, and we're still holding. What does it mean? Will he be asked any questions about it? Will he spill the beans, not spill the beans? Always important. Okay. So let's keep going here and go to the marketplace now. And remember, you can move your cursor at any point up here if you want to get to the website later or iraepstein.com for your sale. Energy prices strong. And, you know, it's a bit of a surprise. Why were they strong? Because what happened is overnight on Sunday, you saw that the Chinese factory gate numbers down. Not good at all. But Israel is mounting more and more troops on the Lebanese border. They have now told another part of the country that they were in before, everybody leave. We're coming back after Hamas again. So this is going on. There's no sign of this letting up. The food is not being passed out, the aid food. The U.S. pier that was temporary has been, as I understand it, dismantled and removed because of supposedly rough seas, but I think that's nonsense. I think what it's more really about is they can't get the food that's come off of it distributed. The UN said it's unsafe, they can't put their workers in the way, and nobody wants to pick it up. And when they did get it, remember, it was taken, stolen, and moved around. So it's a total mess there. And I don't see a way out of it. As long as Hamas keeps saying they're staying and they want Israel to leave, Israel's not going to do it. And world pressure isn't working on Israel to make them stop. Bonds and notes, as soon as you saw that President Trump, I'll call it the court ruling, was in part very much in his favor, bonds and notes tanked because now his policies can come right back. We know what they are. There's no surprise here as to what they're going to be. If you're in Europe, if you're in Asia, you know, everybody's looking. Do anything, don't give money to NATO, the U.S. won't be there for you. He'll be questioning Ukraine. He's going to step in, try to put an end to the fight there. He thinks that Putin is still his buddy. We'll see what he can do in the Mideast. He's not a magician. It's a difficult situation. Wouldn't you love him to be able to solve it, though? That'd be exciting. In the bonds and the notes, you can see how the markets are coming down here. The big question for this market, especially in the NASDAQ, which has been breaking, if you're watching the video, it hasn't gone anywhere. It's backed off from the 140s into the 110, 115 area. Remember, it's had a 10-for-1 split, too. You're seeing different parts of the tech pick up. Amazon's picked up. You've seen Apple do its thing, Microsoft. But when you go to the other parts of the market, it's not as pretty as what you think. Boeing had a big deal that helped everything in the sense that they've been offered an out by the Justice Department of a $500 million fine, roughly. 3 years of observation. They bought Spirit today for $4.7 billion to give them more control. They should have never got rid of it 20 years ago, but they did for whatever years. And that's not Spirit Airlines. That's manufacturer of the parts. But boy, if they can take the $500 million and not have exposure for $25 billion with the government, that still leaves them with their civil cases, but that's nowhere as big as this government issue. The market initially liked that. You were up, then it backed off. Okay, so when you look at the S&P for the week so far, because this is a weekly chart, you're still up 0.15%. Didn't give up very much. You've not been able to go anywhere. You've tried a big rally on Friday. You tried today, Monday, to break down, and you just sort of stuck in right here, and you're not trending. That's the obvious thing that I see right now. Sideways action in the market with the swing line. When I attach it to it, you're still over the 18-day average, so the bias is staying up. But if you were to close under it, well, that would be pretty rapid succession. One after the other, you're starting to get under that 18-day average, and you're tiring a bit. That does not mean this bull market is over, but a correction could set in. When's the last time you had a 2% intraday correction where you were down? Go back and look at your charts. You're going to be surprised. When you take a look at how the Bollinger Bands are, they're still fairly far away from current price action, but you did lose the bullish momentum. I was calling that price and the 18-day average should make a run at each other, and today, by later in the session, they did it. And I was telling traders this morning, you've gotten so close, I hope it hits it, but it still hadn't done so. Now it's done it. In the NASDAQ, you lost the reading. You made your run at the 18-day average. So I've got markets that have stepped out of uptrends here, but they're neutral. The Dow, sideways action, just caught in the narrow bands of the Bollinger Band and just drifting sideways. It is corrected past tense and overbought market.